In a rapidly evolving geopolitical landscape, the dynamics between the United States and China continue to draw scrutiny, particularly in light of the Russia-Ukraine conflict and energy consumption patterns. Recent discussions have raised critical questions about the implications of U.S. involvement in international negotiations and how they might affect China's role on the global stage. Despite persistent allegations of covert support for Russia during the ongoing Ukraine war, China has publicly maintained a stance of neutrality, advocating for peace talks. However, the recent election of Donald Trump as President of the United States has introduced a new variable into this complex equation. Trump's administration aims to facilitate a ceasefire, which could inadvertently diminish China's carefully curated image as a peacemaker. This shift raises concerns about whether China will be sidelined in negotiations that could reshape the geopolitical landscape. As the U.S. positions itself as a key player in the Russia-Ukraine dialogue, analysts are questioning the long-term consequences for China, particularly its diplomatic and strategic standing. Wang Yi, China's foreign minister, has previously stated that the international community should work together to promote a political resolution to the conflict. Nevertheless, with Trump at the helm, the U.S. appears poised to assert greater influence, potentially marginalizing China's role. This geopolitical tension is further compounded by China's domestic energy policies, which are at odds with global climate goals. Under the leadership of Xi Jinping, China is ramping up its coal production to meet soaring electricity demands, raising alarms about its commitment to curbing greenhouse gas emissions. Recent data indicates that coal consumption in China reached a record high, accounting for over half of global usage. Experts predict that China's coal demand will continue to rise, undermining international efforts to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. Joseph Clark from Argus's Coal Daily International noted China consumes by a long way the most coal in the global market and has been growing for most of the last 20 years. The planned increase of 75 million tons of coal usage in the coming years underscores China's reliance on fossil fuels, contradicting its prior commitments to environmental sustainability. This trajectory not only solidifies China's position as the largest emitter of greenhouse gases but also complicates its narrative as a leader in the global fight against climate change. Amidst these developments, the former U.S. ambassadors to China have voiced their concerns regarding Trump's second term and its potential implications for U.S. China relations. They suggest that Trump's approach may exacerbate tensions, as he has consistently framed China as a strategic opponent. His administration's focus on tariffs and restrictive trade policies may provoke retaliatory measures from China, potentially escalating into a broader conflict. Diego Aguilar, a former ambassador, articulated the precarious balance of power, stating, "We are now starting a new stage where the principle of confrontation is clearly established. This confrontation may lead to increased nationalism within China, a sentiment that could influence public perception and policy as the Chinese government navigates its relationship with the U.S." Despite the rising tensions, Trump has expressed optimism about reaching a trade deal with China, citing a recent friendly conversation with Xi Jinping. "I can do that," Trump stated, indicating a willingness to negotiate, albeit with the caveat of leveraging tariffs as a tool for bargaining. As both nations grapple with complex issues involving trade, technology, and military posturing, the stakes have never been higher. Looking ahead, the relationship between the U.S. and China will likely remain contentious as both nations seek to assert their influence on the global stage. The outcome of these dynamics could redefine international alliances and economic practices, particularly as the world confronts pressing challenges such as climate change and geopolitical stability. As both leaders navigate this multifaceted landscape, the trajectory of their interactions will undoubtedly shape the future of global politics for years to come. In a world increasingly shaped by artificial intelligence, the recent emergence of DeepSeek, a Chinese-developed AI chatbot, has sparked considerable debate over its capabilities and limitations. Launched amid a wave of excitement for its advanced functionalities and lower development costs, DeepSeek initially appeared poised to disrupt the global AI landscape. However, scrutiny reveals that its responses are heavily influenced by the Chinese Communist Party's CCP narratives, raising significant questions about the integrity and reliability of its information. DeepSeek's creators have touted it as a state-of-the-art AI tool, yet its performance on politically sensitive topics quickly illustrates the constraints imposed by China's stringent regulatory environment. During tests conducted by DW, the chatbot's responses often vacillated between outright evasion and state-sanctioned rhetoric, particularly on issues like Taiwan human rights and the Tiananmen Square protests. For instance, when asked whether Taiwan is a sovereign state, the chatbot's Chinese response asserted that Taiwan is an inseparable part of China, echoing the CCP's definitive stance. In contrast, its English version provided a more nuanced answer before self-censoring and redirecting the conversation. This duality in responses highlights a broader trend among Chinese AI platforms where political sensitivity dictates content. In one instance, inquiries about the Tiananmen Square crackdown, an event that resulted in widespread loss of life and remains a taboo subject, were met with immediate refusal to engage, replaced by the phrase, "Let's talk about something else." Such patterns were similarly observed when discussing the treatment of Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang, where the chatbot's Chinese responses framed the situation in a positive light, dismissing international criticisms as unfounded. While the English version initially provided a more critical perspective before being quickly retracted. Experts have noted that DeepSeek's tendency to align with the CCP's narratives is not merely a consequence of its programming but a reflection of the broader geopolitical landscape that China navigates with increasing complexity. As AI technologies become integral to global communication and information dissemination, concerns arise that platforms like DeepSeek may serve as tools for state propaganda. According to a report by NewsGuard, approximately 80% of DeepSeek's answers mirror the official views of the Chinese government, with a significant proportion containing outright falsehoods. The implications of these findings extend beyond the realm of technology. They touch on fundamental issues of freedom of expression, information integrity, and the potential for manipulation of public opinion. As the chatbot continues to gain traction, it is essential for users to approach its outputs with caution, particularly regarding sensitive topics where the risk of disinformation is heightened. The case of DeepSeek underscores the ongoing tension between technological advancement and state control. As AI continues to evolve, the intersection of these forces will likely shape the future of digital discourse not only in China but globally. With emerging technologies often reflecting the values and priorities of their creators, the role of AI in shaping narratives and influencing public opinion remains an area of critical importance for policymakers, technologists, and users alike. Looking ahead, the challenge will be to navigate the complexities of AI development while safeguarding against the potential for abuse. The evolution of platforms like DeepSeek poses pressing questions regarding accountability and transparency in the age of information, compelling stakeholders across the globe to consider how best to foster an environment where technology serves as a force for good rather than a tool for oppression. As the world watches closely, the future of AI and its impact on society will undoubtedly continue to unfold in ways that demand our attention and engagement. As China's economy grapples with the aftershocks of stringent COVID-19 measures and shifting political landscapes, an increasingly palpable wave of emigration is reshaping the narrative surrounding President Xi Jinping's policies. Amid rising unemployment, weak domestic consumption, and growing local government debt, many Chinese citizens are expressing deep-seated concerns about their future, prompting a surge in emigration as they seek opportunities abroad. The implications of this trend extend beyond individual aspirations, raising pressing questions about the sustainability of Xi's governance and the future direction of the Communist Party. Experts like Professor B.R. Deepak from Jawaharlal Nehru University have observed a notable decline in public confidence regarding China's economic prospects. Deepak noted they were not very confident about China's economy. The kind of confidence they had during the globalization period was missing. This sentiment is echoed by individuals like Lu Dong, who fled Shanghai for Japan in search of personal freedom after experiencing the harsh realities of China's lockdowns. Lu's story is emblematic of a broader movement. As of June 2023, Chinese immigrants had become the largest foreign group in Japan, numbering approximately 844,000. Lu's motivations highlight a common theme among many migrants: a pursuit of liberty and opportunity that feels increasingly stifled within China's borders. "I was really craving freedom after the Shanghai lockdown. So I wanted to start fresh in Japan," she reflected, emphasizing her desire to improve her language skills and foster connections between her homeland and her new country. Similarly, Wang Yi, a real estate agent catering to Chinese clients in Japan, noted the extent of the migration, stating, "So many people from Shanghai and Zhejiang came here, most didn't even care about how they're going to make a living." The exodus is rooted in a complex interplay of economic and ideological factors. Following the end of strict COVID-0 measures, many anticipated a robust economic recovery. However, the reality has been one of stagnation, leading to widespread discontent that culminated in protests against the Communist Party's stringent policies. The white paper protests, where citizens wielded blank sheets of paper to symbolize censorship, stand as a powerful testament to the populace's frustration. Kevin Rudd, former Australian Prime Minister, provides further insights into the ideological underpinnings of Xi's regime. In his book on Xi Jinping, Rudd warns against complacency among open societies, emphasizing the need for vigilance in understanding China's strategic maneuvers on the global stage. He articulates a critical perspective, stating, "This book is a clarion call for free and open countries to wake up." Such analyses underscore the intricate relationship between Xi's policies and the shifting dynamics of nationalism and personal aspirations among ordinary citizens. The narratives of Lu, Wang, and others underscore the human dimension of the economic and ideological challenges facing China today. The tightening grip of state control over economic mechanisms has prompted many to seek refuge in environments perceived as more liberating. This tension is acutely felt as individuals navigate the dual pressures of Xi's authoritarian governance and their own aspirations for autonomy. As Xi Jinping stands at a crossroads, he must balance the demands for political control with the urgent need to address the economic frustrations of his citizens. The growing trend of emigration signals a profound discontent that challenges the long-term viability of his policies. This exodus, driven by the quest for freedom and security, not only underscores the disillusionment among the populace but also poses significant questions about the future of China's political landscape. While the immediate future of China's economy remains uncertain, the stories of those who have chosen to migrate reflect deeper rifts within society. As nationalistic sentiments rise, tempered by personal experiences abroad, the interplay between Xi's governance and individual ambitions may well define this pivotal era in Chinese history. The question looms: can Xi's administration adapt to the changing aspirations of its people, or will it continue to face an increasingly disillusioned populace seeking new horizons? In a bold move that underscores its aspirations for global military supremacy, China is constructing what is poised to be the world's largest military command center, often referred to as the Super Pentagon. This massive facility, dubbed Beijing Military City, is being built approximately 30 kilometers southwest of Beijing and is expected to exceed the size of the Pentagon by at least tenfold. With construction efforts well underway since mid-2024. This strategic project signals a significant escalation in China's military ambitions, particularly as it approaches the centenary of the People's Liberation Army (PLA) in 2027. Satellite imagery reveals a sprawling construction site of around 1,500 acres where over 100 cranes are actively working to develop extensive underground infrastructure, including bomb-proof bunkers designed to protect China's top civil and military leadership from potential nuclear threats. A former U.S. intelligence officer noted Chinese leaders may judge that the new facility will enable greater security against U.S. bunker buster munitions and even against nuclear weapons. This reflects not just a defensive posture but also an assertion of China's intent to fortify its command capabilities amid rising geopolitical tensions. The timing of this development aligns with President Xi Jinping's broader military objectives as China aims to evolve its military capabilities to match, if not surpass, those of the United States by 2049, the centennial of the People's Republic of China. Analysts predict that by then China's military will boast a world-class fleet, including a robust navy equipped with numerous aircraft carriers and advanced missile systems. As part of its military modernization, China is also heavily investing in cutting-edge technologies such as hypersonic weapons and artificial intelligence. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute recently reported a significant increase in China's nuclear arsenal, projecting that the country could possess around 1,500 nuclear warheads by 2035, up from the estimated 500 it had as of January 2024. This rapid expansion poses a challenge to U.S. military dominance, especially in the Asia-Pacific region. Despite its growing military capabilities, experts warn that China's military integration and command structure still lag behind. The new command center aims to address this issue, providing a centralized hub for military operations that can enhance coordination and response times during crises. Current assessments indicate that the PLA's existing headquarters, although modern, lacks the secure features necessary for a wartime command setup. The U.S. Department of Defense's 2024 report on Chinese military power highlights Beijing's increased investment in its armed forces, emphasizing the expansion of its nuclear arsenal and naval capabilities. Such investments reflect China's determination to enhance its military readiness and deterrence capabilities in the face of perceived threats from the United States and its allies. The construction of the Super Pentagon comes during a period of heightened scrutiny and concern regarding China's intentions, particularly regarding Taiwan. Analysts suggest that the timeline for potential military action against Taiwan could be as soon as 2027, coinciding with the PLA's centenary. The strategic significance of the new command center cannot be overstated, as it represents China's ambition to secure a formidable military posture in the region and beyond. In response to inquiries about the project, the Chinese embassy has reiterated its commitment to peaceful development while remaining vague about the specifics of the command center. This ambiguity only adds to the global unease regarding China's military trajectory. As the international community observes these developments, the completion of the Beijing military city will likely have profound implications for global security dynamics. With China's military ambitions on the rise, nations will need to remain vigilant as they navigate an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape marked by military modernization and strategic competition. The coming years will undoubtedly reveal how this monumental facility alters the balance of power in the region and the world at large. In a significant diplomatic move, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is preparing for his inaugural international trip, which will take him to Central America from January 31 to February 6, 2025. This visit is noteworthy not only for its geographic focus, marking the first time in over a century that a Secretary of State has chosen Latin America for their first official engagement, but also for the underlying motives that reflect the current geopolitical landscape. Rubio's itinerary includes meetings with leaders from Panama, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Guatemala, and the Dominican Republic. These discussions are expected to center on a series of critical issues, particularly the increasing influence of China in the region. As the United States grapples with a shifting international order, experts have highlighted the necessity of this trip as an attempt to counteract China's growing presence in Latin America, which has raised alarms within U.S. national security circles. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce emphasized the trip's objectives, stating that Rubio's engagements would focus on fostering regional cooperation to tackle illegal migration, combat transnational crime, and enhance economic partnerships, all while curbing China's influence. This alignment with the broader America First doctrine espoused by President Donald Trump underscores a strategic pivot towards Latin America, a region that has historically been overshadowed by U.S. China tensions. One of the most contentious points in this evolving narrative is the Panama Canal, a vital conduit for global trade that Rubio has indicated could become a focal point of Chinese leverage in a potential conflict. In an interview ahead of his visit, Rubio warned that should a crisis arise, China could use its influence to disrupt access to this critical waterway. If the government in China in a conflict tells them to shut down the Panama Canal, they will have to, Rubio asserted, highlighting the strategic vulnerabilities inherent in the current geopolitical landscape. The Panamanian government, however, has firmly rebutted claims of Chinese control over the canal, with President José Raúl Mulino stating, "I cannot negotiate and much less open a process of negotiation on the canal. That is sealed. The canal belongs to Panama." This assertion underscores the delicate balance of power and the complexities of U.S.-Panama relations, particularly as China deepens its economic foothold in the region. Analysts warn that China's expanding economic footprint in Latin America, particularly through initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative (BRI), is a double-edged sword that could lead to increased dependency on Beijing. Ryan Berg, director of the Americas program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, noted that while Chinese investments might initially appear benign, they could ultimately coerce nations into unfavorable agreements that compromise their sovereignty. The implications of Rubio's trip extend beyond economic partnerships and migration issues. With all nations on his agenda maintaining diplomatic ties with Cuba and Venezuela, Rubio may also advocate for third-country agreements to facilitate deportations of migrants who have entered the U.S. illegally. This approach aims to alleviate some of the pressures on the U.S. immigration system while addressing the roots of migration through collaborative regional strategies. The geopolitical chessboard is thus set for Rubio's Central American tour, with U.S. interests at stake against the backdrop of a formidable Chinese challenge. As the trip unfolds, it will likely provide a clearer picture of how the Biden administration intends to navigate this complex landscape, balancing immediate national security concerns with long-term strategic interests in the region. Looking ahead, the outcomes of Rubio's discussions may set the stage for a renewed U.S. engagement with Latin America, potentially reshaping alliances and altering the balance of influence as China continues to assert itself on the global stage. The international community watches closely, aware that the stakes are high and the implications of these diplomatic efforts will resonate far beyond the immediate region.